I really enjoyed this week's episode. It had a lot of action, it did have a bit of comedy that was actually pretty funny, I found, like just the whole situations near the beginning. But overall, this was actually a really, I thought, well-balanced episode, and ends, I guess, the first mini arc of this series, as it seems like every few episodes is going to be like a new central arc or something like that from what I've heard from different commenters. I think the reason this episode worked as well as it did was because it took some of the ideas and just things that were mentioned in the past couple of episodes and kind of fully executes them. Like, for example, when Glenn says magic is used for nothing but killing, and we're just like, well, we've seen magic used for good, like, you know, Sistine healed people and things like that, and we can see why he thinks that, because all along, all throughout his life, he wanted to be a mage of justice, but in doing so, he always got wrapped back up into having to use magic to kill people. He was known as the mage killer. So you can see why he has such a negative opinion when he's kind of explaining magic, because every time he wanted to be that mage of justice, he got wrapped up into being nothing but a killer of mages. So I liked how they played back to that and just the whole idea of what he is, but the main thing I love, and it's something I complimented last week, we still haven't given him this overpowering ability. Glenn is strong. Like, he's able to use high-level spells. He's also able to use really cool abilities, and he's really strong with martial arts. But he has a very low mana pool. In fact, like, the way he uses spells and the amount of mana that he drains, even how long it takes him to summon spells, is lesser than a student at this academy. So despite him like having this really strong presence when he can use it, he uses his mana up very fast. He actually takes him a long ass time to use spells, so much so that some of the opponents literally were able to defeat him or nearly defeat him because when he was trying to use a spell, they used one quicker and things like that. But he is this really strong character when either he has support from either Sistine or Rumia, where they're like giving him more mana or they're giving him a boost in some way, but he can use those high level spells, as we see with this destruction of these like skeletons that he obliterates, but nearly at the cost of his own life, like literally him coughing up blood. So I like the fact that he overcame these obstacles, not because it was just his willpower, that he had the power of friendship. It was because he did have the will and the drive, but he also had the support of mana being infused to him and also just the healing and support of others. So he has the strength, but he does have severe weaknesses, and I'm so happy for that, because if they just made him 100% badass, he can overcome everything by himself, this would be a very mediocre series. But because they're making Glenn a bastard of a teacher, he has a bastard of a personality, but he is growing up in some way. The fact that he's literally staying as a teacher because he's kind of connected to his students at this point. He wants to see where they're going to go. So they're giving him a bit of emotional development while keeping him at that bastard level, so his personality is staying perfect while also growing him as a character, which is nice. But also his skills and just techniques have insane strength, but they're not without its many downfalls. They have the perfect balance for Glenn as a character, making the series overall very enjoyable. And I'll be honest, I'm surprised that there was no censoring, that this is like literally blood everywhere, which obviously they must be airing this on a channel that doesn't censor this, because otherwise this would have been censored to no end, which I'm happy it's not. But overall, just the balance, like even Rumi and Sistine themselves aren't feeling just like a typical cliche anime girl hot and bothered by the main character. They are starting to feel like they have their own substance and soul to them. They're not like amazing characters yet, but they're at least starting to feel like their own entities, not just being another cut and paste characters. Granted, they still technically are, but they are starting to feel like they have life to them. The story is building up, and overall, this was actually a really solid episode. Like, even like the animation and art style, the art style rarely dipped in the animation, and just, you know, Glenn overcoming, especially near the end when he was trying to save Rumi and he had to dispel like those 5 seals, and just the way the blood was animated and just how he was like kind of overcoming it, the facial expressions. There was a lot to really love about it. I mean, just, this was a very action-oriented episode, but that's not why I liked it. I liked it because it kind of played back to the episode 1 and 2, just things that Glenn has said, and just playing on his backstory, explaining who Glenn is, and just watching Glenn overcome obstacles that seemed impossible, and how he's willing to use help when he needs it, and just how they balance the strong and weak elements of his character while relying on the support of his students, while also showing that he is growing up in his own way, makes me really excited for the next arc and the next 2 episodes to see what the next batch of just story elements are going to be, and hopefully we'll get some more comedy as well, because when they use the comedy, it usually is pretty damn funny. I actually really like this episode, and I can't wait to see where episode 4 goes. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Or do you think it was just okay? Before you leave, hit that like button to show your support. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.